WWE TLC has come and it is gone. And when it's all said and done, this show was terrible. This show was terrible. Now, outside of the first hour and Daniel Bryan's return, this show offered absolutely nothing. And I figured that it was going to be this way. I figured WWE was going into the show saying it's the end of the year. Let's get this show over with and then we can begin our WrestleMania build. The show was not good. The first two matches, red hot, awesome. Daniel Bryan coming back, buzz cut, awesome. Everything else in between, meaningless, pointless, and just straight up boring. So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought. I'm going to review every match in detail, what happened, and all of that. WWE TLC was not a good show. If you're sitting here telling me it was a good show, I'm going to change your mind in about 20 minutes or less because this show wasn't good. It was just not good. I had low expectations, and even then, it was still garbage. Let's talk about WWE TLC. We are going to talk about WWE TLC today. Obviously, we are coming off of TLC, which is the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view that WWE puts on in the last month of the year, every year. Now, generally, I enjoy myself a nice TLC match. And as far as this pay-per-view goes, this has been one of probably the worst pay-per-views of the year. For the most part, in WWE's schedule. Now, obviously, your red-hot months are the first 3 months because you have Royal Rumble, you have Elimination Chamber, or not quite sure. I think not Elimination Chamber, Fastlane, and different pay-per-views like that. And then you obviously have WrestleMania. WrestleMania was good this year, and this pay-per-view was not good. Now, WWE barely had any build going into this pay-per-view, and I don't sympathize, because when it's all said and done, they're the ones that make the schedule. Now, again, when an arena is available and when you're able to book that show, that can probably be very tricky. I'm sure booking shows for WWE, the yearly schedule can be a very tricky process. But regardless, WWE booked this show. Usually they do about the 2nd or about the middle of December, and that's usually the right call. Because, again, you do it next week, I don't really know how that would work that late. But anyway, WWE has this show go on, and it's titled Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, so you know you're getting one, if not two, TLC matches and a mix of matches in between. The card going into this show was not very good. You have Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. Some things were changed late going into WWE TLC, and one change that I want to make mention of was the match that kicked off the show, and that was the New Day versus the Revival in the tag ladder match. This was a very good match, by the way. I really did enjoy this match. And then as the show went on, it just got worse. Your first two matches of the show were great. Especially the second match. That was definitely the match of the night, in my opinion. And then it just got worse. There were some interesting things in between. We're going to talk about it all because that's what we do here. Again, this is kind of just me sitting here talking about it, not on a more exciting standpoint. The next pay-per-view to review is going to be the Royal Rumble, and that should be an interesting one. I don't really know how I'm going to approach that one as far as taking notes goes, because it's going to be a lot of notes to take, and we're going to see where that goes. Kicking off WWE TLC was the New Day versus the Revival. This was changed to a ladder match, and I think that was a good thing. It was a tag team match for the SmackDown tag team titles, and this was a very good match. Boom, right early in this match, there's lots of back and forth early. A drop kick from the Revival knocks down Big E. Kofi was in the ring fighting off the Revival while Big E was out, and he pushed ladder down while diving outside. Now, the ladder was pushed as Kofi fell outside. Kofi was fighting off in the Revival while in the ring. Now, he jumps off of the ladder, or he jumps onto the ladder. And this was interesting because he springboarded, then fell onto Dash. He also fell off the ladder into a shatter machine. Big E speared Wilder through the ropes. He does that spear, and he really needs to be careful doing that spear, because that spear makes me nervous when Big E does that. Now, Big E, at midpoint of this match, was setting up multiple ladders inside of the ring. He had two ladders next to each other, and the third one positioned like this, so you had it against the ropes and against the ladder, so it was leveled like this in the air. And a third from the ropes, like I said. He was then suplexed onto the ladder from the top rope, and it broke. Wilder then dived. He put Big E through the ladder after diving. When he suplexed, it didn't go through. Big E did not go through the ladder, so he went up the top, dived, and went through there. Kofi ninja jumps through the ladder from the outside as the Revival was trying to grab the belt, but he gets stuck. So if the ladder is like this, you guys are following me here, Kofi's legs were through the ladder and onto the other side of the ladder, but it was through the ladder, like this. So Kofi obviously was stuck there, both ladders. Dash Wilder and Revival were both up there. Big E got up. He gave the big ending to Wilder off the top of the ladder. And then Dawson was climbing up and he started to grab it. Kofi knew that he could not grab onto the ladder. So what he did was he took the title holder, the thing that holds the title belts above the ring, and he kept smashing Dawson with it. Dawson eventually ended up falling back onto that broken ladder. Kofi waited for the title holder to swing back and he grabbed it, and the New Day were to retain in their tag team title ladder match. That was just a quick review for that match. This was a very, very good match. I really liked it. And again, the New Day and Revival have such great chemistry in the ring. And the Revival are just so good at what they do. I predicted the Revival to win this match, but the New Day won. Regardless of whoever won the match, I didn't mind it so much because both tag teams are great. But outside of them, they really need to start doing a job of building their tag team division because, like I said, the WWE's tag team division is miserable. But regardless, the New Day retains this match, and this was a good match. Backstage, we get Baron Corbin. He's backstage, and he asked if he's worried about facing Reigns in a dangerous environment tonight. Corbin says he has Reigns right where he wants him, and he acts like he is in control. The next match was the best match of the night, in my opinion, and I actually predicted it to be so. Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy are absolute gold in the ring together. Black was in control early with kicks. He shoved Black into the steel steps. Now, what happened here was Buddy Murphy was outside the ring. Aleister Black was standing there, and he grabbed him from the outside of the apron and pushed his face down onto the steel steps. As the match continued, Black was busted nose open in the ring. Murphy was in control for a while. Murphy takes Black's jacket. Now, this was midpoint of the match. He took Aleister Black's jacket from the outside, and while Buddy Murphy was well in control at this point, he took his jacket on, he was attempting to put it on. Aleister Black sees that as he gets up, and he comes in, and it changes him to a different person because he takes his jacket. He pushes Murphy against the ropes and keeps kicking him. Aleister Black's kicks are just so beautiful to watch in wrestling. He puts Murphy against the ropes, keeps kicking him. Murphy was hammering Black as the tide switched with kicks, and then he hit a power bomb. Aleister Black would kick out of the power bomb, and this is where the ending sequence was pretty interesting to watch here. Both were trading hits inside the ring. Now, when you think of like a movie, like a karate-like movie, where the person keeps trying to hit you, and the ducking and dodging, and it's just really fun to watch. That's basically what was happening. And then all of a sudden, kicks were dodged, and then Aleister Black turned around and hit the Black Mass on Buddy Murphy to give him the pin and the win. Again, another quick review, but this match was very, very good. I really enjoyed this match, and this was definitely the best match of the night. They're saying that potentially Aleister Black could have had a broken nose. I don't know if it was a broken nose, but he was definitely busted open by the nose. These two are great. Buddy Murphy needs to be showcased more, and Aleister Black needs to start having matches like this more. I really like this match, and I'm telling you, if there's any match you're going to go back on TLC and watch, and if you're give me a match to watch, this is the one. Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy was a great match. Backstage again, we get Rusev, who may starting to potentially get over with the crowd here. He's backstage and he's in good spirits, talking about his split, saying that he's now free from Lana. He's talking about his split, and he talks about his match tonight, what he's going to do to Bobby Lashley, and how Lana is going to be picking splinters out of Bobby Lashley all night long. Raw Tag Team titles. Now, this was hilarious for one reason. There were a group of fans that potentially got an exclusive experience to win a ringside seat to eat KFC. Now, first off, if you win an experience to eat KFC, that's kind of sad, because could you have not given them something a little bit better to eat? They were outside. There's a table full of food. And I just knew, and I'm telling you on everything that I love, I just knew that prior to this match beginning that somebody was going through that damn table. And they were backside, and you could tell every time the camera panned on their way, because the one guy sitting there, he's like, "Oh, Karen, oh, yeah, look, can you see that? Oh." It was just, it was really corny. Anyway, the Viking Raiders are challenging a team to come out and potentially get the Raw Tag Team titles, and the OC comes out. They're talking about how they're the greatest, they were not World Cup champs, yada, yada, yada. And the match begins. It's back and forth in the ring. The Raiders go for a hot tag, and Ibar comes on. He's taking on both OC members in the ring. The Raiders hit Raiders hit the Viking Experience, and Gallows breaks up the pinfall. Both teams battle, and they jump outside. Teams get double counted out, and this is where the match ended. Like I said, it was a double count out. There's not too many notes to really talk about in this match. And Anderson was pissed about that. And what do you think happens? Anderson walks over to the KFC table. He completely yanks it, pulls it closer ringside. And the Viking Raiders take Anderson and they powerbomb him right through the KFC table. And as you can see, hopefully the fans finished eating, because I don't know how long it takes to eat KFC. This was not a very long match. But regardless, this is what had occurred. The Raiders retain their titles because, again, unless notified otherwise, titles cannot change on disqualification or countout. The Raiders retain their titles. This match was a run-of-the-mill tag team match, and it was nothing really special. So, I wouldn't say it was awful, but this is kind of where the match started, or the show, should I say, started to go downhill. Backstage, we get The Miz, and he's talking about how dangerous Bray is, and that he'll do whatever it takes to protect his family. Obviously, on SmackDown, we saw that, Bray Wyatt, and this was great. One of the things that he did was Bray Wyatt was potentially in The Miz's house. We didn't specifically see Bray in the house, but we saw that his daughter, who was in his crib upstairs, was playing with a doll that is part of the Firefly Funhouse in this match. The next match was a TLC match, and believe it or not, it was Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin. Now, I have no problem with the women main eventing a pay-per-view, but they do not have to main event every single damn pay-per-view. This was not that great of a match between Reigns and Corbin. It was boring, and there were certain things that happened, and it just was there. That's just what I felt. Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin TLC match. Before he even gets to the ring, Corbin's security charges Reigns during his entrance, and that was a big mistake. He threw one off of the stage, and the other one got put right through a table that was positioned on the stage. Corbin charges with chairs, battling outside. The crowd gets red hot. The match starts right away. They're battling in the crowd, Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin. Then we get back inside. Roman Reigns throws Baron Corbin into the steel steps. Corbin then takes a ladder, and he smashes Reigns with it, runs right into him, smashes him down. Corbin is dominating Reigns at this point. Then, I missed this little bit of sequence here. Roman Reigns hit a Superman punch, and he sets up a table in the ring. Roman heads to Corbin, who's leaning against the apron from the outside. And as he does so, Corbin picks up something, and it is a can of dog food. He hits Reigns with the can of dog food. He then chokeslams Reigns right through that table inside of the ring. Match continues. Roman Reigns, Samoan drops Corbin as they are both on the announce table on the outside right through. Roman Reigns thrown out to the announce table. Roman Reigns has Baron Corbin positioned against the barricade, and he was walking outside of the ring, pacing the other side, and Roman Reigns was getting ready to do his spear through the barricade. He's running around. He makes his way around Corbin, and all of a sudden, he gets super kicked. Who could it be? It's Dolph Ziggler coming to assist Baron Corbin. Corbin is pissed at that when he gets up, and Corbin throws the timekeeper flying. He's looking to further hurt the timekeeper, and as he's looking to do so, Roman Reigns gets back up and drops them both. Corbin's security comes back again to attack, and they get annihilated by Reigns. Reigns has a kendo stick, and he uses it to assault Baron Corbin's security. Oh, we've got the Revival coming out. Reigns, who's inside the ring, does his ring as he flies outside of the ring, and knocks everybody down. Roman Reigns is setting up for a spear, and Ziggler comes right back in the ring and throws a chair at him as he does his Superman thing, punching out. He then hits the zigzag on him. The Revival, after that, hits the Shatter Machine on Roman Reigns, who has eaten two finishers. With the chair positioned at the bottom of the ring, Corbin hits Ends of Days onto that chair in the middle of the ring, pins Roman Reigns, and Baron Corbin wins the TLC match with the assist from the Revival, Dolph Ziggler, and they didn't do much, but I guess you could say his security as well. Now, this match wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but I didn't think it was that great. It could have been so much better. Again, Roman Reigns is going to be pushed in these big matches. Not the worst match I've ever seen, but it wasn't that great. I didn't get anything out of the Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin match that I wouldn't have got out of any other matches that they've had. Somebody mentioned the worst part about this is that this feud, as you saw at the end of the show, which I'll get to, is potentially going to head into the Royal Rumble. Pray to God it does not. Pray to God it does not. The Miz versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. However, it was not The Fiend. Now, I kind of shit on this right away. Bray Wyatt comes out to his Firefly Funhouse theme song, and he's dressed like a regular guy in, some decent clothing. And he's regular gear, and he's waving to the crowd. He's all cheesing and smiling and doing and all this. Then, the Miz comes out first, and The Miz was in control for most of this match. Bray hitting the barricade, maybe trying to pop his shoulder. I think that he maybe popped his shoulder or dislocated it at some point in this match. Very, very short match this was. Bray Wyatt hit a Sister Abigail. He had Miz on the barricade, kind of like a Randy Orton DDT style kind of thing. And he hit the Sister Abigail onto him, which would give him the knockout, I guess you could say, of The Miz. He then puts The Miz right back in the ring and hits it again and gets the win. So Bray Wyatt wins as a normal character. This is his alter ego. Bray is outside, and we see that there is a picture of The Fiend on the Titantron. And Bray goes to get that mount I think we last saw him with at Hell in a Cell, running around with it. And he's getting ready to bring that character out. All of a sudden, the lights kind of go out, and we kind of see a random hooded figure. I kind of figured this is who I thought it was. The random hooded figure hits a running knee on Bray. Daniel Bryan is back. And when Daniel Bryan takes his hood off, Daniel Bryan, it looks like a buzz cut. It looks like the 2010 Daniel Bryan that we've seen previously. And I thought that this was dope. Daniel Bryan looked great. He was clean shaven. His hair was cut. And he literally looked 10 years younger. Now, I love Daniel Bryan with the beard, but I think that this Bryan is going to get over. The crowd was really into this as well. Bryan is back. He's attacking Bray. Bray gets back up, and he hits another running knee on Bray. And his fresh cut looks cleaner, and that was the end of that. Daniel Bryan is back, and now hopefully what happens is, maybe, I'm really hoping that, and I'm actually looking forward to this, I'm hoping that we get a Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt feud going into the Royal Rumble, and not only that, but we get a Daniel Bryan and a Fiend Bray Wyatt. I think that this can be very, very interesting if they play their cards right with this as well, and I'm really looking forward to that. Something I wasn't looking forward to was Rusev and Bobby Lashley in a tables match. Lord help me, this is one of the worst built feuds I've ever seen. But we got to do what we got to do. Rusev and Lashley in a tables match is on next. Rusev tried to put Lashley to a table on the outside early, but Lashley flipped the table. This was very early in the match. Lashley then threw a table at Rusev, who ducks at the ring post. The table, when he threw it at him, missed Rusev, and it broke after hitting the ring post. So Rusev used the steel steps on the outside. Rusev walks and grabs the guardrail, which is positioned on the other side of the stage. Lashley slams Rusev through a leaning guardrail. It looked like it could have hurt a little bit. Lashley was pounding Rusev with kendo sticks in this match, and then Rusev was to take over. He used kendo sticks to assault him. Towards the ending sequence of this match, Lana jumped on Rusev, scratching and clawing at him. This was a botch. This was a botch to end this. So basically what happened here was, after that, it was supposed to be an ending sequence where Bobby Lashley speared Rusev through the table on the outside, and that clearly didn't happen. Bobby Lashley went for the spear on Rusev, and the table did not break. Obviously, he was frustrated, so he quickly picked up Bobby Lashley and suplexed him backwards into the table that was positioned on the other side. Lashley suplexes Rusev for the win. Lashley wins the tables match. This match was quick. You know, I don't think this was the worst thing I've ever seen either, but I just didn't care. The quicker it ended, the better. Again, nothing that I really cared about in this was gonna change my opinion on really how I felt. So that was that, Rusev and Lashley in a tables match. All of a sudden, we're backstage. The Street Profits are talking. They're giving advice to Lashley to get a vasectomy, and all of a sudden they turn around. Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, and a variety of other superstars are brawling on the outside. They turn around to see Reigns. It's kind of what happens. And the Street Profits get in on it, and that was it. The main event of the evening was not good either. So, like I said, outside of that first hour, we got absolutely nothing. The women's tag team titles were on the line in a TLC match between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and the Kabuki Warriors. Flair and Lynch were in control early. They were dominating the Kabuki Warriors. They were tossing Sane all over the announce table, playing with her. The Warriors had a chair drop kick on the inside to Charlotte Flair. Kairi Sane botched here as well. She was throwing chairs inside the ring, and they backfired, and one of them actually hit her in the lip, I think, as well. Kairi Sane was running to hide under the ring, and Becky Lynch pulled her back in, and as she was being pulled back in, she had a fire extinguisher. She used that on both Becky and Charlotte. while she was being dragged back in. The Kabuki Warriors, tie Becky Lynch to a ladder on the outside with a rope. Flair with the kendo stick in ring to stop Warriors from grabbing the titles. She used a kendo stick as the Warriors were going to grab the titles. Despite being tied up, Becky was able to find a way to free herself. Then both her and Charlotte are attacking aggressively. Becky hit a nice leg drop through a table on the outside. Kairi Sane gets powerbombed by Flair through a table also on the outside. This was a really nice spot. Asuka slammed Charlotte off the rope through a table. That looked like it hurt. Asuka used the rope. As Becky was going to grab the titles, Asuka used the rope that was tied to the ladder to pull her off. Asuka went right back in the ring, and the Warriors were able to retain the tag team titles as Asuka grabs the titles. The Warriors retained. This match was nothing important, as you can see, because I went through it so damn fast. And then all of a sudden, that brawl, that we were notified during the match that the brawl was still continuing, it comes back out. Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin are brawling, other superstars as well. And the show closes with Roman Reigns standing on kind of like the steps that you would lead back up towards. Roman Reigns dived into it, knocked everybody down, and that was really that. TLC, not a very good show. Doesn't surprise you, doesn't surprise me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see what we get going forward.